Okay, hello everybody. John Kerr here, publisher of The Athletic Scout, and today we are excited to have on the TAS podcast. Former Lake Forest scout, I guess we can call him an edge now, right? That's what he's being
Yeah,
referred to on all the recruiting sites. Former all-conference player in 2024, had 10 and a half sacks on that great Lake Forest quarterfinal team. His name is Finn Goodman. Hey, Finn, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Hey, thanks for taking some time off or taking some time to chat on a little bit of a break here before the
Of course.
academic calendar ended, right?
Yeah.
And then now you go back for football. People, you can see the T-shirt. Finn's wearing the Boilermaker. So he is, I guess, a redshirt freshman, correct? Finn, would
Yes,
that be?
redshirt freshman. Just finished my true freshman year last year. Didn't play redshirted, but now there's a new rule, I believe, where everyone gets 5 years. So
Yeah.
technically everyone can redshirt. So I'll be going in my second year, sophomore year academically, redshirt year athletically.
Yeah, so Finn is at Purdue, and I certainly I'm going to chat with him about some things happening in college sports today because it really is a fascinating time to be around the sport because there's only so many things happening that are outside of football. Like I'm excited just to get to football stuff because the off season is just there's always between guys eligible, guys losing eligibility, right? Things happening with the NCAA. You almost have to have a law degree to kind of follow. But I want to ask you about you, Finn. You finish up in 2025. You're part of that great 24 team that made to the quarterfinals, beat Libertyville twice. Had some opportunities to play in college at non-power four schools, specifically Dayton, a school you had
Yeah.
accepted an offer from, and then
Mhm.
Purdue comes in late. Just remind people again of kind of that decision to go to Purdue, and then secondly, just how that first year was and how well you developed, even without playing as much as a freshman.
Yeah. So for me, Purdue was always the easy choice. I grew up a Boilermaker fan, always wanted to step foot on that field and play. And obviously, they weren't in the picture early. Dayton, I accepted an offer from them after a great visit. Loved them, great school, great coaches. But Purdue came in and offered a walk-on spot, and Dayton's a non-scholarship, so I could either play at Dayton, non-scholarship, have to pay for school, or play at my dream school, still obviously paying as a preferred walk-on. So it's a no-brainer for me to go to Purdue.
Yeah, and of course, people who know Finn or know that this was, like you said, that was your childhood dream. There's a picture of
Yeah,
you as a young boy going to the spring game, and so yeah, I mean, opportunity to play to school at Purdue. You're going to take that opportunity, although certainly Dayton was a tremendous opportunity
for
for you.
sure. Great opportunity.
And I want to ask you about that situation because you enter Dayton, you enter Purdue with a an opportunity where you have a brand new coaching staff, right?
Right.
So Barry Odom comes in, I think from UNLV.
Mhm.
The program had been struggling for a couple of years. I think there was an interim appeal member. Jeff Brom was there for a couple of years now at Louisville. Won the West back when they had an East and a West in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Made to the Big Ten championship game. Fell off for a couple of years. They bring in Odom. Then you come in with this tremendous opportunity. What's that like as a player when you are with a new coaching staff and the connection you have maybe with the staff that you didn't know very well, that didn't necessarily recruit you? Just talk about
Yeah.
sort of what that dynamic is like for a high school player.
So it's hard when, because obviously you said new coaching staff, completely new program. It's hard to have a chemistry with that team early on. So I got there. I I believe that the coaching staff did a great job trying to get us all to connect, fit in, but just naturally it's hard to have like a true connection because we're all from different places, the coaches, players, the whole staff. So it was hard to have that connection at first, but I feel like we were pretty close as a team. Obviously didn't have a great year last year because we brought in 90 new players from the year before. So it's kind of hard to build up a team that with a quick scrambling fill in roster spots, finding coaching positions. It's hard to have that team connection and to win games when everyone's scrambling quickly to try to make it happen. So yeah,
Yeah, I think what you just said is not. I think the number I saw, Finn, was 83.
83.
Total players that were turned over. I mean, 83, 90. I mean, it's pretty much the entire roster.
Yeah,
Now you might hear this on the outside and just be shocked by that, by say 83 new players. But welcome to college football today, right? That is, I mean, that number might be a little on the higher end, but this year I read somewhere too. I think it was on three or Rivals who covers Purdue said I think it was about 53 or so, maybe 55 new. Does that seem about, at least from what you saw in the spring, does that seem about right in terms of it's less than it was a year ago in terms of new
A
players?
lot less for sure. I think 53 might be a little high. I think we got about 25 people from the portal and maybe like 20 fresh. Oh, I guess, yeah, it could have been with the if you include freshmen coming in, then yes, around the 50 number mark. But it was different because the coaching staff is settled in now. The players, we barely had any people leave, which was very tremendous to me. That people want to stay here, they want to compete, they want to work their butts off to go win games, and it was a completely new dynamic this year.
Yeah, I would think having some continuity, even in this era of player mobility, would matter.
Yeah,
Even the top teams still are able to retain athletes, right? You can't be turning over 50, 60 players every
yeah.
single year and have some success. Our guest is Finn Goodman. Finn, just going into his second year at Purdue. We're recording this in late May. Finn's got a couple weeks off here before he reports back to Purdue to begin workouts for the summer. Want to ask you about that first year at Purdue as a preferred walk on.
Mhm.
Um, you probably knew you weren't going to play going in, right? The coaching staff
Yeah.
was probably upfront with you about that. So, what's that mindset shift for you as somebody who has played competitive sports since you were in middle school and saw almost every snap, right? Certainly as a senior, as a junior, from a defensive perspective. I
Yeah.
mean, you're not a two down guy, right? You were out there pretty much all all the time. Certainly, people knew you for your pass rush, right?
Mhm.
As a senior, but you're used to playing a lot, and now, hey, it's all about practice, it's all about development. What's that mind shift like for for an athlete?
So as a competitor, that was definitely the hardest part, knowing that you're going to have to work your way from the bottom again. Like when you come into high school and you're on the freshman team, like you work your way up to varsity, but times 100 now. You're working your way up from the bottom of the barrel, like 105, to trying to just even get on a depth chart for special teams. So my mindset was definitely just go compete every day. Um, I knew I wouldn't play. I knew, but my goal was to be able to show them that I can move, that I can run, that I can play the pass, play the run. Just that I'm versatile because I wanted to show them that in the future that they have someone to play. And then every day, just in the weight room, whether it's conditioning, uh, benching, squatting, even just doing extra work after practice or after a workout, they see that stuff and they see the mindset and that they want players like that because they know that they're looking ahead in the future. They're looking, what can I do for myself now to set me up in later to be able to play at the highest level because Big Ten right now is on fire. 3 championships in a row. It's a tough conference, and there's 18 really solid teams in here. So you just gotta every day continue to come and bring the work and the effort, and it'll add up. It really does.
Yeah, and of course, people who know Finn, he was about 6'4", probably about 220, about 225, right, as a senior in high school. I mean,
Maybe
now as we're
closer to
having
215, but I might have upped my thing a little on Twitter.
it happens. It's okay. I mean, you wouldn't be the first guy to do that, right? And now you're about 245, correct?
240, yeah, 245. 6'4", 245.
So when you are in, and I believe Purdue's a 4-3 team, right? Are they 4-3 in terms of
Oh,
their scheme?
yes, like a 4.25, 4.3. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're like a true edge guy. I mean, they're edge guys. They
Mhm.
want those guys rushing the passer, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so when you put on that kind of weight, this is interesting because I hear this from weightlifting coaches a lot, where it's a now some of this is certainly genetics, meaning if you're 5'10", putting on 25 pounds might be a little more challenging than if you're six
For
four.
sure.
So you've got a frame, right, to be able to put that weight on. But I'm talking about just like how that impacts your ability to play the sport. But you knew you had to put on weight going to Purdue.
Yeah.
So 20 pounds. How are you able to maintain that quickness and that speed and the things you were known for as a pass rusher in high school?
You gotta make sure that you're eating the right stuff. Can't be going
Mhm.
out eating Raising Canes to put on the weight. You gotta take advantage of all the resources that you're given. like the athlete dining hall, the food that you're giving. We get shakes after our lift, which is awesome. Like they provide a lot of good opportunities to make sure that we're using those resources to our advantage, but also that you're keeping up with your flexibility and mobility. Like get stretch a little bit after a lift. Make sure you have good hip movement, stuff like that. Um, just constantly, obviously it's mandatory, but putting like working really hard on those workouts because Coach Rowe and his staff at Purdue are phenomenal. They're some of the best in the country, and they will allow you to maintain and even get faster while putting on good weight. So you just got to take advantage of every single workout that you have with them.
Yeah, and the nutritional aspect too, which I think is just we're just scratching the surface, right? With
Yeah,
nutrition science and combining that again with athleticism and speed and all those types of things when it comes to to being an athlete at your level. I guess that's certainly a lot of advantage to being in a school like Purdue, but one of those
yeah,
I would think would be you're able to optimize some, like, I mean, you just mentioned like probably two or three coaches where that's their specialty, right?
yeah.
You have somebody who is a food nutritionist, right? Who's making sure that you're
Mhm.
eating the right things. You have a pass rush coach. I'm sure you have a positional coach. You may have somebody who's a specialist in terms of pass rushing, right?
Yeah.
Is that something for you? It also, I mean, being able to absorb all that information, then being able to apply. Again, I think what you're describing is almost like a second degree, understanding exercise physiology, right? The mental toughness that has to go, understanding your body and its development. How much of that have you just gotten better and optimized, just in the last year since you've been there?
I'd say a lot since because when I got there, I would say that it was all new stuff to me. I didn't think stretching was the most important thing. I didn't think nutrition, like as long as I was eating like enough, eating like protein, I didn't really know what that meant though. But now like there's science, like I see all the science behind it, and I'm still learning. Like I'm still fresh out of it, but it's just crazy to see how much detail goes into every little thing that they do.
Yeah, yeah, and when you, as you just described, with the competition with the Big Ten, right? When you're going up against a school in your particular state, right? Which I want to ask you about a little bit later in the interview. But you're playing in Michigan, you're playing Ohio State, right? The last three national championships. Let's not
Yeah,
forget the schools in the West Coast, right? Oregon's not going anywhere,
yeah,
right? I mean, UCLA is struggling a little bit right now. We'll see about that. USC is, still a USC, but so I'm imagining, right, from a competition perspective. And are you somewhere, just before I forget to ask you, so I want to ask you, are you somebody would you be in favor of the playoff expansion, Finn? Just because it gives more opportunity, more access to schools like a Purdue, where it's like, even for the 24th team
hmm
at 9-3 or 8-4 one year, we get a shot at winning the whole thing.
yes and no. I would just probably lean towards more like the 12 to 14 range because I think if we keep expanding, it's never going to be enough. No one's going to be satisfied. They're going to want 36 and then like keep adding because there's an infinite number of um, G5 and Power 4 teams that could like it all. Like there's what 300 maybe teams. Um, I don't think it's ever going to be enough. And I think just keeping it around that 12 to 14 is perfect. But yeah, if for like a team like let's say USC last year, who was in that top 25 Big Ten team, that would be a great opportunity for them to go and compete and also like play a little bit harder in those November games that mean a little bit more when they're competing for a spot. So I think there's pros and cons to both.
No, I think that's a good answer, and I think it's something that's going to be debated about here for a long time,
Yeah,
unless they have expansion at the end of the year. Looks like the SEC is holding out. I think every conference has come out publicly and said they would like to go to 24 teams.
yeah,
Um, I think we're going to expand, Finn, whether it's 16 or it's 12
yeah,
or 24, just because how are you going to pay for all of the specialties that we just discussed on this interview, right? I mean,
yeah.
how you're going to pay for that is by producing more product, and
hmm
you have to produce more games, and television and sponsorships can come in and pay for those things. And the purist in me prefers it. I was fine with four. honestly. Like you had to have a playoff, right? I'm not a BCS guy, which is going way back, but I think it's coming. It wouldn't surprise me if we get to 24 in the next sometime in the next year or two, if the SEC kind of comes around on it. I want to ask you this: what is the difference between? Cause this goes back to what I asked you about just before we got into the playoff talk. There's a depth chart at Purdue.
Yeah.
Certainly the spring practice ended. I mean, you guys, I think started early, like in early March, right? Finished in kind of mid-April, right? I think, spring was. What is the difference between you're the top edge guy at Purdue, and you can name him, that's fine. I mean, people listening may not be as up to date on the Purdue depth chart, but maybe you can familiarize yourself with who. I mean, the guy who you be competing with, right, for kind of a starting job. What's the difference between that guy and you?
Well, those guys, they're older. They're in their fourth or fifth year. Like a couple guys come to mind are LL Motazi. I hope I pronounced that right if he ever sees this. Jeremy Lewis, CJ Madden, Trey Smith, a few guys just that come to mind. Those guys are older. They've been in the program a little bit, or they've been in programs like Georgia. They're coming in with experience, playing experience, and they know what it takes at that level. Someone for like me, who's lower on the depth chart, I'm younger, I'm more inexperienced. I don't got all the physical attributes that they have. Like some of those guys are like 270, 265, and though I'm what we call a rush end, so I play the weak side. I'm in a 2-point stance. Some of those guys might be like the strong side and 3-point stance, but still they can move just as well, if not better. And they're 30 pounds heavier than me. So those are some things that I need to continue to develop and work at. And just like the experience, I'd say, is the biggest thing. Because you can have everything, but if you don't know what it's like to step out on that field and go against a 6'8", 330-pound tackle who can move his feet very well, then you don't like. That's the biggest key, is the experience that they come in with.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to ask you less about some of the genetic differences, because as Coach Spagnuolo used to say, sometimes if there's just a genetic deficiency, right?
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with desire or work ethic. Some guys just kind of there's a bit of a nature quality to it, right? Where they were just kind of came out of the womb and had some advantages. But there's also a nurture part where I think where someone like you can play catch up, right? Yeah. And that goes with the studying, right? With watching your body, doing that extra stretching, watching your diet, and just treating football like it is your job.
Yeah.
And seeing the field at some point. So do you feel at this point where you are that if you control those things, you control the things, the sort of nature things, right? I'm sorry, the nurturing things, that you have a shot at playing at Purdue at some point and contributing to this program?
Deep down, I do believe yes, but there's sometimes I'll get in my head and say like maybe like, because I see all these people, like especially walk-ons, that do go stay the course, work their way up, and then it sometimes doesn't work out for them because they'll just try to bring in transfers or find someone better. But I like to think deep down that yes, it is possible, and that the hard work will pay off.
Yeah, I mean, Finn, I think anybody who knows you knows that no one's going to outwork you, or meaning no one's going to optimize their talent as much as you are. And so I would think that's why the coaching staff loves you. I mean, I would think, right? If your position coach was sitting right next to you, he'd probably say, yeah, we're going to find a way to get this guy in a game. That one year when they go 24 teams and we're at 8-4 and we're the 24th team to make the playoff, right? That's the argument, right? For having all those teams. What is it? Is there any distinction between the access you have to academics, meaning, the academic support, tutoring, whatever you might need as an athlete there, all the football aspects to it, between a preferred walk-on and a scholarship? Is, aside from the obvious part, the scholarship kids are having their education paid for and subsidized, and you are not. Is there any difference in terms of, from a football perspective, what your experience is like as an athlete there?
Not at all. We all have academic advisors. They all send us weekly assignment checkups to make sure we're on top of our work. They schedule us with tutoring if we need it, with the best tutors too. We're very fortunate for that. No, the only thing is when we have to go buy our books that I have to take money out of my pockets to buy the books, but that's the only thing that's different with the academics.
Curious, you're a finance major.
Yes,
So what's the average price of a book at Purdue?
I think too high for online books. I'd say probably $150 for an online book that you only get
What?
access to 5 months for. Yeah.
Yeah. And how many of those books you have to buy, like, per semester?
First semester, I think only two, but second semester, like four. And I think one $30 book. So you'd be surprised. I don't know if it's always been this high, but they're
Yeah,
pretty,
what a
they're not very lenient with it.
no, because you kind of have to buy the book, right?
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you can't buy some watered down or some independently published version of it or some Cliff Notes version of the book, right?
No,
Yeah, you actually have
because
to buy the book that's that the professor wants you to read.
yeah, and the book has the like you since it's online, the book has access to the homework, so you kind of have to buy it, even if you didn't read the book. You couldn't do the homework without it. So
Yeah, $150 a book, man. That's a racket. Somebody's, but that's all of academics today.
yeah,
To some level, right?
yeah.
The cost of all this stuff. So, hey, a couple more things here I want to ask you about, and then I
Mhm.
want to talk about some like forest stuff as well. But about juggling academics and athletics at a school like Purdue, not Ohio State, but a school like Purdue,
Yeah,
where you do have to go to class, and not just go to class, but you're at a school that is well known for its engineering and for
yeah,
its finance. And we know how much time you put into football. How well did you do this? For people know you, this we know you had a very high GPA, so I assume you've been able to maintain that. But how are you able to do that? And secondly, is there anything you would do differently now moving forward next year that maybe you just didn't know because this is your first time doing it in terms of managing all of it?
yeah. So managing is the hard thing if you make it the hardest thing. So if you're on top of your work, if you're setting schedules, if you're like tracking everything you have in a day, um, then it doesn't become as hard and unbearable as it needs to be. But first semester, as you asked me, what would I do differently? First semester, I was a little more relaxed. I didn't really understand it too much. I still did well in academics and football, managing both, but my GPA was a little lower, like at 3.35. So the adjustment I made going the second semester was studying more. Doing my homework a little earlier in the week so I didn't have to have it all pile up. And so I ended, I think, with a 3.6 this semester. And I was able to do that while managing football and all of the spring ball, the workouts we had, walkthrough, stuff like that, pretty well. I just it's definitely very hard. It's a big change from high school for managing your time. But if you lay out your schedule, if you put in the time, it doesn't have to be as hard as it needs to be.
So I'm curious, when you say doing it your homework maybe earlier in the day or something,
Yeah,
right? So would you guys at Purdue, did you guys practice like in the afternoons?
we
Like,
had.
when would you
I
guys
said
actually have, practice in season?
we have our practice is about. We'll have meetings around 6:45 till 8:15 in the morning, and then practice from about 8:30 to 10:45. But I
Okay.
meant to say earlier in the week because I like to. I'm a person
Yeah.
who kind of waits till the deadline, like Friday at midnight. But learning to do it on like a Tuesday afternoon or night when you have time, it just lightens the load for the rest of the week.
So it seems like what you're saying is be a little bit more conscious of or more intentional
Yeah,
with with getting things done, right? And saying, hey, if I've got, or more, we use the word optimize, right? I think you have to
Yeah.
optimize on much your time more, right? Where they have got 45 minutes on a Tuesday night, and I can work on accounting, right, or
Yeah.
econ, whatever it is that you have to do, where that 45 minutes might go towards something else, which is not accurate. You would push that back and say, well, it's not till Friday. I'll do it
Yeah.
Thursday night, right? Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I guess it's one of those things. I guess you have to go through it, right, to sort of experience it yourself, because what you just described, you would probably give advice to if somebody asked you, like a senior, you probably tell them the same thing, but it's kind of like, hey, you have to sort of, do what works for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes those lessons can be painful sometimes too, right?
For sure. They can be. Because if you just go through the motions with it, that your schedule is piled up day to day. So it's going to add up. And then it's going to be, you're going to put yourself in a hole and you're going to try to dig yourself out of it. You're just going to be playing catch up for the rest of the week, semester, something like that. So something you definitely have to be on top of, especially compared to like coming out of high school when it was a lot more relaxed and a lot more free time.
Yeah, just not as academically rigorous, right? I mean,
Yeah.
high school versus college for sure. And again, and how many hours a week do you spend on football?
So I'd say in season, would you say?
Yeah, in season.
In season. So I'd probably get there on six. Um, Meetings start at 6:45. Practice. I'd say I'm there from about 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. every morning. Then I'll have class, and then I'll come back to get in the hot or cold tub, or maybe stretch a little bit. I should probably do more of that. Um, Maybe get a little extra work in and grab a snack from the this nutrition station and head out. So I'll probably say about 7.5 hours every day.
Yeah, everybody heard that 7.5 hours per day. So just multiply that, over the course of a week, and then class and all that stuff on top of it. And you were not, at least in your first year. I want to ask, just on game days, on home game days, were
Yeah.
you were undressed? Did you have a jersey on
We
the
we
sideline,
were
or
full pads in home games. We
okay?
were
Okay,
full uniform, full everything, yeah.
great, yeah. But on the road,
On the road, we stayed back. If you weren't on the travel roster, we'd have a Friday, a workout for the non-travel
yeah,
guys, and then we'd have until then Sunday stretch, just to, I guess, take it easy a little bit, watch the game if it was close. Like if it was at Notre Dame, I went to the Notre Dame game and traveled,
yeah, that's
um,
great.
just in the stands. But yeah, there's no like obligation for the away games for dressing or anything.
But that's really cool for the home games. You guys get to dress
For
and sort of have
sure,
that experience and everything like that.
surreal
It's great.
experience.
Yeah, yeah,
Surreal.
that's one other question about this. I want to just ask a couple things about the scouts before we kind of wrap up. Um, that first home game,
Mhm.
right?
Ball State.
And just describe your emotions, and I imagine that particular day will be something you won't soon forget.
No, so got there probably. So non-travel guys at the home game, we don't go to the hotel with the team, but we do travel there in the morning a little earlier before the travel team gets there. So I'll probably, if the game, it was at noon against Ball State, I think we got there around maybe 9. Travel guys got here 9:30. We had this whole warm-up routine, the whole pregame. Um, Going out to warm up was probably the highlight for me because I was out there on the field, game day, noon kickoff, Big Ten. It was awesome. Like doing all the warm up, the walkthrough, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was my action for the day. And then running out, running out the tunnel at noon, that was awesome. The fans blaring we obviously, the Boilermakers is our mascot. We had the train sounds going,
Yep.
the smoke out the tunnel. It was something I won't ever forget. That was the coolest thing.
Yeah, and of course, I'm sure having your dad and your mom there, probably in the stands,
Mhm.
right? I mean, certainly Andy and your mom there to kind of experience that, knowing again this again. This is I think it's rare somebody can grow up and be able to play for a Power Four school, but then to have to be your actual dream school. And now you're the one who's some 5-year-old kids watching in stands, right? You're that guy now, right? That's the kind of amazing thing. Before we finish up the Purdue conversation, I have to ask you about your rival there in state, Indiana.
Yeah. Rival across I'm in my room. My brother goes to IU right now. He's in the other room. Rival in the home as well.
Yeah. Brady, who is Finn's older brother, goes to Indiana. There's probably thousands and thousands of siblings in that position.
Yeah.
Seeing the success that they've had in such a short period of time, we're talking, and Brady would know this, right? Because he probably got there and they were like 2-10 or 3-9 or something, right?
Yeah.
His first year, and then they hired this coach. Of course, everybody knows who he is. Kurt Signetti, Coach Sig. And they go 16-0 and win the national championship last year. I know you don't care about that because that's not your school, right? You want to beat those guys.
Yeah.
But is that something? Because I know your head coach has been asked about this too. Barry Odom has been asked about this. And is there any motivation for that when you see it happen so quickly to your rival? In the fact that in this era of college football with the portal, you can turn over rosters. And you can get to a point where you can win the Big Ten and win the playoff at a school like Indiana, which before this was the losingest program, I believe, in Big Ten history. This wasn't a school that had any tradition.
Football, I believe college football history.
Yeah. So what is you personally, is that a motivation? Do you care about that? Does a program talk about it all, or what are your thoughts on that?
I find extreme motivation in it, that a program that no one ever thought would ever go anywhere. And yes, they happen to be my rival, but it's unbelievable what they did, turning the program around like that. It just shows that there is hope, for any team to be able to do that, with the right players, with the right staff, with the right mindset, and the right, obviously, talent. But it's unbelievable what they did to be able to go from what you said 2-10, 3-9 to 16-0 national championship. I think that just it's like a beacon of hope for any team that might be in a position like us right now, who have a record, I believe, of 3-22 in the past 2 years, something like that. It just shows you can flip it around in a year or two.
Yeah, no, I think Finn, and I would. That's back to my argument for the 2014 playoff. That's just more access. I'm with you on the expansion part. My concern would be it diluting the regular season and the meaning of the regular season games.
True.
There's been some concern about teams, where almost like the NBA, where you have load management, where you have teams who now the NBA is a whole. I mean, they have A2 games; it's a whole different deal. But the concern would be would teams rest players, right? If you were in the playoff and you're playing, let's say a 2-9 team in the last regular season game, would you rest your players because you're getting ready for play? Again, the conference championship games. What do you do about that? I kind of get all of that. I just feel like this train is moving at such a rapid rate that you have to expand. And it seems right now the conversation is it's either 12 or 24. That could change, certainly. But all the conferences and Notre Dame have said 24, except for the SEC. I think they're the one conference that's kind of holding out here. But I'm more on the side of expansion in the sense that because if that's where it's going, I went to Michigan State, right? So we're not a traditional. We're more of a basketball school, right? We've certainly had some ups and downs. I don't know if we could get in consistently with a 12-team playoff.
Yeah.
Historically, we're not that good. We did it one time and then lost 92-0 to Alabama or something in the semifinals. But if we have 24 teams, 9-3 one year, we get lucky with the quarterback, we beat Michigan, we got a shot. You go on a run. So it's again, I think it's debate that will continue here.
I think you bring up a great argument with that. And especially what you were saying, being able to, go 9-3 one year, and it couldn't mean nothing with the 12th team unless you have that more expansion opportunity. Yeah, you're making me think about that a little more.
Or even 8-4.
Yeah,
I suppose.
Yeah,
right. I mean, that's this, and I think what they want is would you like to see a Purdue or a Michigan State be the fourth or fifth Big Ten team in there? Let's say Michigan, Ohio State, you get Oregon in there. And then let's say it's Purdue, Michigan State one year, because one of these years, you guys are going to beat Indiana again, right? It's going to happen, right? Let's say you guys beat your rival that year. So would you rather see, maybe you guys are 8-4, but you beat Michigan and you beat Indiana? Would you rather see Purdue in there, or would you rather see some group of 5 team?
Yeah.
Right, like a James Madison or Tulane. Personally, I'd rather see Purdue. I'd rather see like a Big Ten team in there.
Yeah.
I would. So anyway, you and I could talk about this for a long time, but I want to, in the last moments that we have with you, I want to chat about a little bit about your time at Lake Forest. You again graduated there in 2025, part of that great senior team. What is the legacy of that group? And how much you stay in touch with those guys? I mean, there are a bunch of those guys are playing in college, certainly.
Yeah.
And just talk about the relationship with that group and the legacy of that 2024 team. Made the quarterfinals, won 9 games, and beat Libertyville twice.
I think that's right there's the legacy will be remembered for the most is beating Libertyville twice, especially in the playoffs at their place in the second round. But yeah, that was phenomenal. The thing that made that team was definitely the connections and the bonds that we made. We hung out all the time in groups. We did a lot of things together, whether that was grilling and going to someone's like pool in the backyard, or just like hanging out and tossing the football around at the beach or the park or something like that. But that was a great team. I stay in touch with those guys, not as much maybe as I should, but a lot of them I still am very good friends with. Some of those guys are some of my best friends still today, like Nate Borland, Arch and Jawanda, those guys. Yeah, though that was a great team. And every once in a while that group chat gets a little active, that old former group chat. So it's fun. It always puts a smile on my face when I see everyone reconnecting and texting each other.
Yeah, I think you're anybody who's who played high school sports to some degree or some level, and 5, 10, 15, 20 years go by, they'll tell you, yeah, maybe you don't talk as much as you used to or would like to, but as soon as you see those guys, you fall right back as if it was like yesterday, literally, if it was that time, right, when you
picked up where we left off.
And yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, use the word bond. You guys always have that kind of shared history together, and just how much fun it was. I mean, as somebody who went to all those games that year, just how much fun it was watching you guys play, because you were a team that really could beat you so many different ways. I mean, you guys could beat teams on defense. You guys won games on defense. You won games throwing the football. You ran games running the football. You had great special teams. The coaching staff was, tremendous. That year, the crowds were good that year. I think you guys were a very popular group of guys. I think your peers wanted to come out and support you guys, right? I think, and so that's what I remember. And obviously, as a Lake Forest guy, beating the Wildcats twice in one year. Finn, of course, making that, having that, especially that incredible game at home. Both games are incredible, but the incredible high scoring game at home. You've been able to take down Shambo, and Angelos, getting to Shambo, and getting that pick and all those turnovers in that game.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was amazing. Both those games were classics. Both of them were for different reasons, but they're both classics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was awesome. It's bringing back a lot of good memories right now. It's hard to think that's coming up on 2 years ago.
Yeah, right. I know that practice starts here soon as we're recording this. So hey, last thing here, and I'll let you go. If you had a piece of advice for even a parent watching this, or a high school kid, it could be an 8th grader, could be a middle school kid who's interested in, I want to be like Finn, I want to be all conference and for the Scouts, and maybe go on and play at Purdue someday. What advice would you have for him?
Just be consistent, be persistent, don't give up. If you want it and you see opportunity, don't let anyone tell you that like you can't, that you're not big enough or strong enough. Because I came into high school at maybe 5'10", maybe 135 pounds soaking wet. I was a middle linebacker. I didn't earn the starting job until the day before our first game. And then JV year, 12 guys got pulled up to varsity. I wasn't one of them. Junior year, I moved positions. First time ever playing on the line of scrimmage. I was a defensive end. Wasn't even considered for like an honorable mention all conference. I was all right, but I just continued to put in the work, continued to be persistent. And senior year had a blow up year. Played very well. Um, got a lot of attention. Fortunate enough to be able to play at my dream school now, Purdue, where I'm loving it. I just said continue to um, strive for what you desire and what you think that you can accomplish. Because if you think you can and you put in the work, you will be able to.
Yeah, and Lake Forest was very fortunate because you had Goodman's on the manning the end there for I think 4 straight years on the varsity.
Yeah, Brady on the left for 2 years, me on the right.
You on the right there for 4 years, no doubt. Actually, there's one more thing I do want to ask you about, and
Yeah.
that is the portal, because we
Hmm.
alluded to that earlier in the conversation about how much roster turnover there has been at Purdue since you've been there, right? 80 something guys, 50 something guys this year. Um, do you feel it's what are your thoughts on that? On the fact that currently now a player has unlimited mobility. They can go every year. You've guys have played at 4 different schools for 4 years. Looks like there's going to be a new rule route right now where it's going to be you have 5 years to you have 5 seasons of eligibility over the course
Yeah.
of 5 years. Again, we talk about, you and I could have this conversation next week, and I'm sure there'll be some changes to that. Right, it's constantly updating.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about this era of mobility? You think it's good for the sport? As somebody like yourself, I know you want to stay at Purdue, graduate, and be able to be part of certainly a bowl team and potentially a playoff team
Well, yeah.
down the road. But it allows you the opportunity, hey, almost like a Leo Scheidler or one of these guys who graduates, and you still have a 5th year, and you can go somewhere else. Just your overall thoughts on it.
I think there's pros and cons to both. Like, yes, let's say I do graduate, I could go. I obviously would like to stay at Purdue, but if things were to turn a different way, I could go somewhere and play um, somewhere else and be able to do grad school there. But cons to it is like what you said, someone can go to a different school every 4 years. They can go, they're like, a transfer is given a lot more lenience and are treated very well. So if you were to transfer, let's say from UNC to, I don't know, like Arizona, they're gonna put you in front of the guy who's been there for, let's say, 3 years and has been working his way up. So I just that kind of thing is what boggles my mind a little bit, is that like there's no more like working your way up the program. It's you can go find someone and just instantly he takes the spot, which I don't really like, because obviously in high school you're used to working your way up the ranks, but now it feels like that's being eliminated.
Yeah, that you're just being developed for another program in a way.
Yeah,
And I think what
yeah,
you just described, like you're the time a coaching staff puts in developing an 18, 19, 20-year old, well, then that payoff is going to come to somebody else.
yeah,
Right. So, and vice versa. Right. Where they're going to get a ready-made 21-year-old as opposed to a developing player. Yeah. I still think there's probably a need for both, developing your own guys, just like with the
mhm,
portal. We went to, there was a showcase here at Stevenson, Finn, a
yeah.
couple
I
weeks
heard about
ago.
it.
Yeah, first time that they've allowed at least in-person evaluations,
Hmm.
at least in this kind of a competitive environment.
Yeah,
And there were, I mean, it was loaded with coaches. I mean, and if you talk to, and not mind you, these were FCS Division 2, Division 3 guys,
yeah,
but it's good for them because they can evaluate these guys and get bang for their buck, right? They can look at
hmm,
all these kids at once, as opposed to having to go all over God's green earth and going to all these different high
yeah,
schools, right? Um, but again, I think it's great for the athletes too, obviously, because hey, you're making connections, and that coach who sees you as a junior, well, who knows? Maybe down the road, as a sophomore, as a junior in college, you met that person when you were in high school, but now that relationship, pays dividends, down the road. So I just think if it's
yeah,
more access, more opportunity to get evaluated. I think at the end of the day, it's good for the athletes. Which at the end of the day, this is what this is really about.
For sure. I agree 100%. I'm a little jealous of that showcase. I wish we had something like that.
Yeah. I did hear from some of the guys too, like that. Man, what is this all about? I don't remember this happening when I was there. No, this is the first year. So that's one thing I criticize the IHSA a lot, but this is one thing that they got right, for sure was allowing this. So
yeah.
All right, Finn, that's going to do it. I know for most guys, I know you're kind of a low key, not a lot of big social media guys. So
Yeah.
Unless you've got some NIL deal somewhere that we don't
Hopefully
know
down the road.
Down the road, exactly. Is there where can people find you? People want to get in touch with you or find you on social media. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I believe it's fgood31, all lowercase. I could be wrong. Twitter, fgood36. If you want a message, reach out, ask about how college is, how even the recruiting process. I'd love to answer questions.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. And NIL deals would be okay too if you're interested.
Yeah,
okay with that.
Yes, would love some of those.
Absolutely, no doubt. I'm sure your parents would too, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. My dad especially.
Yeah, Andy and Rebecca were both like that. There's no doubt. And your sister's at Purdue with you, right?
Yes,
your twin sister, right?
There,
yeah, that's gonna be pretty cool, right? Having her there.
I get to see her at least once a week, so it's nice. She'll bring me food from the dining hall sometimes if my dining hall food gets a little repetitive.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that's and you also got the training table too, right? Of course, is a nice backup too, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely. It's one thing you've heard from Finn in this almost hour conversation is a lot of food. This man gets
it gets old. You'd think it would be. You'd think it'd be good, but it gets old. It gets really old.
Yeah, well, that's man. You're gonna have to go against those 290 or 300. Actually, 290. I'm like, that's not like an old man or those 320-pound tackles, right? You gotta put on some beef there. Absolutely.
Yeah, got about 10 more pounds to go.
10 more pounds.
That ideal weight, yeah.
And that's going to be till when? Like when do you hope to get up to 255?
First day of fall camp, so August 5th.
Okay. So 245 now and 255 by the time August. So you're basically saying, John, I got to go because I got to keep eating. So I'm done with this interview, man. I got to go eat. So,
I really appreciate you for having me on.
Time, man.
Thank you.
You got it, Finn. Take care. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.